Good afternoon. This is the Legal and Finance Committee of the City Council of Rapid City, meeting March 27, 2024. And we'll begin with roll call and determination of quorum.
Beaverdorf.
Here.
Evans.
Here.
Maher.
Here.
Secret. And Stroman.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, next item on the agenda is adoption of the agenda.
To approve. Second.
Motion by Evans, second by Beaverdorf. All in favor? Yeah, I think that it passed. So the motion passes and the agenda is adopted. Now is the time for general public comment, and this is a time for the members of the public to discuss or express concerns to the council on any issue not on the agenda. Action will not be taken at the meeting on any issue not on the agenda, except by placement on the agenda by unanimous vote of the council members present. And I don't have any speaker request forms, and so I'm going to close public comment and move general public comment and move to consent items 1 through 7 and open public comment on consent items 1 through 7. And I still have no speaker request forms, so I'm going to close public comment on consent items 1 through 7. Does any members of the committee wish to remove any items from the consent items and vote on remaining consent items?
No.
Okay, there being none, we'll move on to approval of the minutes of the March 13, 2024 meeting. Motion by Beaver, second by Evans, to approve the minutes of March 13, 2024 meeting. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Now we'll go to the Finance Department. Finance Director Daniel Ainsley.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. The first item, or actually, I guess the second item, is listing some volunteers that, again, will be covered by our workers' compensation fund. Again, there are volunteers that are just included for workman's comp. And then the third item is to approve some abatements from the Director of Equalization. These are a few different properties that did go to court, it looks like, and the judge has ruled that it should be reduced. And so a court has ordered a reduction.
Okay, thank you, Daniel. Next we'll go to the Fire Department. Chief Culberson's here today.
That I am. Thank you, Chair. What we have on the agenda is a request to apply and accept, if awarded, a SAFER grant, staffing for adequate fire and emergency response for 21 personnel to reopen Station 2, which is, or reopen the station located at North Maple and Anamosa. That station was closed in about 2010, the summer of 2010, and the staffing was relocated out to Tisch Boulevard, north of I-90, north of the car dealerships out there. But since that time, we've had continued to increase call volume. Our call volume has increased 32% since 2020. Last 2 years, we've seen a leveling off, but the call volume continues to increase in this downtown district and the north side. So in order to stay in compliance with NFPA and some of the other national programs that we have to include ISO, we're asking to add the 21 people. In this district, from the south of the interstate to about Star Village Hill is where a good majority of our call volume increase happens. It has steadily increased over time. Medic One, one of our busiest ambulances, not only just in the city, but in the country. It consistently is in the top 50 busiest fire-based ambulances in the country. Squad One is right up there with them. So this last year, Medic One did 3,700 calls. In 2013, we had a study done. They came in and advised, one of the things they said is after a unit reaches 3,000 calls for service, they become unreliable to do the next call in that district. And over the course of time, since that time, we've had to make changes just to stay ahead of that for Medic 1. We've added the mobile medics, that program trying to stop some of the 911 calls and then low acuity calls in this area, in that district. We've added Medic 2, which is a peak load ambulance here about 2 years ago, in order to stop that. Despite that, we've decreased below 3,000, but now we're back up over that call volume crest again. So we're going to try to keep that below 3,000. That's one of the things that we want to do, is add that ambulance and a fire apparatus back up at Station 2 in order to deal with the ever increasing call volume in this district. I'll stand for any questions.
Okay, any questions from the committee? If none, I have a couple of quick ones, Chief.
Sure.
So do you know when you would find out if this grant was awarded?
Sure, it's July 30, where'd Jeannie go? July 31st, I think, is when they start awarding those. They do it in weeks, so sometime between July and September, we'll know.
And this is the station that's next to North Junior High, is that correct?
Yep,
North Middle School?
just to the south of North Junior High, yep.
And then, right now, there's you don't have any staff there?
So
or-
what we have there right now is all of our training staff are up there.
Okay.
So we do our recruit academies there. Up until we moved up to the mall, our paramedic program was taught there. But all four of our training personnel are there, since we moved them up there while we're doing construction of Station 1.
Okay.
It's been a goal of ours is to reopen that station, because I think it's an ideal location for the response, the call volume that is there.
It certainly seems to be strategically located there, and I
Yes.
think it would be great to get that up and running again and fully staffed.
Yep, and that station is built well. It still will be able to suffice. We'd like more space, but it is well built and it's put together. We have to do a minor remodel, which we have the funding for. We have the fire apparatus ready, and we're ready with working on getting some new ambulances, but we do have the apparatus ready if they do award it.
Okay. Great, thank you, Chief. Does that raise any questions from any other members of the committee? If not, we'll move on to the IT department. Director Gilbert.
This is just the standard item we have every year to re-up our Malware Bites, which is part of our endpoint detection and response program that we use on all of the city computers. And it exceeds the 25,000, so that's why it's on the agenda today.
Thank you, Director Gilbert. Any questions for Director Gilbert? Seeing none, we'll move on to Public Works. And who's going to be addressing Public Works? Okay. Oh, okay. We'll go to Finance Director Ainsley.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. This item is fulfilling a SRF application which the City Council approved in December, I believe, of 2022. The application has been approved, and it provides $11.3 million for our solid waste facility. Importantly, with that, there is a 5% grant up to about $600,000 that came with that, and so it's fantastic that we received grant funds as well. For those that are not aware, SRF loans are subsidized through the federal government and are awarded through the state DANR, Department of Ag and Natural Resources, I believe. And so it is a lower rate than if the city just went through conventional financing. In order to effectuate these bonds and be able to actually release them, we do need the council to approve this resolution.
Any other questions from the committee? I have a quick one, and sir, I don't know if you can handle this, or if I'm just curious. Are we on our last cell now? Is this, or do we have more room for expansion, or at the current site?
My name is John Leahy. I'm an engineer with the Public Works Department. And the question on the landfill, this is the second to last permitted cell that we have. So we have a About 5 years on this cell. There's probably another 12 years of life on the next cell. And then that ends the current permitted life of the landfill.
And do we just need one cell in use at a time? Is that how that works, or?
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Leahy. Any questions from the committee? Okay, the next item will be community development. We'll go to Director Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is just a standard request to replace 2 of the vehicles within the Community Development Department by purchasing 2 Ford Explorers. They were included in our '24 budget request. The vehicles will replace an older one for a building inspector and a vehicle in our parking enforcement division. The 2 vehicles that are being replaced have got significant age on them and a long history of mechanical issues. And so we're asking approval to go ahead and proceed with these purchases.
Thank you.
2 through 7.
Okay, we've got a motion by Evans and a second by Bieberdorf to approve consent items 2 through 7. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Next, we'll go on to non-consent items. And I'm going to open public comment on the non-consent items. Seeing no speaker request forms, I'm going to close public comment on the non-consent items. And then we'll go to the city attorney's office for second reading and recommendation of ordinance number 6604, an ordinance amending 2.28.060 of the Rapid City Municipal Code regarding the review of ordinances. And Assistant City Attorney Carla Cushman.
Thank you, Chair. This is the second reading for this ordinance. It allows for Planning Commission to do the vetting of ordinances that have to do with subdivision or zoning instead of the Legal and Finance Committee. And Mr. Stroman, you're right, it's an option. So the Planning Commission can do the vetting and have the initial review of those, and then it goes to City Council for 2 readings. Or Legal and Finance can also serve in that role. Currently, Planning Commission doesn't have that option. And because they do a good job really vetting these, including rezones, because rezones, when property is rezoned, it's an amendment to the zoning ordinance. And sometimes it can be tricky to get those timing-wise moving quickly enough for the people who want the rezone to occur. Sometimes stopping at Legal and Finance between Planning Commission and Council can lead to a delay because of publication requirements. And so this would streamline that process as an option.
Any questions from the committee? I got a quick follow-up, Carla. So if we're not eliminating the Legal and Finance, but we're just making planning and zoning another option, would it be better to have that proposed language say, if an ordinance contains subject matter involving zoning or subdividing, either the Planning Commission or the Legal and Finance Committee may review and approve the ordinance, rather than having the language instead of the Legal and Finance Committee? Because that seems to exclude the Legal and Finance Committee.
It could say that. I think it says the Planning Commission may review and approve instead of the Legal and Finance. I think the option is still open for Legal and Finance to do that review pursuant to the first sentence. But we could certainly make that change if you would like.
Well, I'm going to make the motion, I guess, and see if anybody agrees with me to amend the language to state, as I read, if an ordinance contains subject matter involving zoning or subdividing, comma, either the Planning Commission may or the Legal and Finance Committee may review and approve the ordinance, period. And waiting for a second if there is none. Oh, second by Evans. Yep.
Thank
Go to
you.
Director Fisher.
So currently, when we have an ordinance amendment, let's say we're revising the parking regulations, it goes to Planning Commission, goes on to Legal and Finance Committee, and it goes on to City Council. When a property owner comes in and they want to rezone their property, which is in essence an ordinance amendment too, Right now, those go to Planning Commission and straight to City Council. By making this amendment, in essence, we're making our current procedure legal. So I do like your recommended change because it does open the door up for us to be able to take those two applications through this process where one does still hit Legal and Finance Committee, but the other one doesn't.
Thank you. Any discussion on the motion? If not, there's been a motion by Stroman and a second by Evans to amend the ordinance proposal. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, we'll go to the fire department, and I believe that interim HR Director Leah is going to address that first.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'm here to talk about the IAFF wage scale adjustment that was negotiated. What you have attached to the agenda is the same set of data that was presented to you at the executive session on February 20th. And so we're here today to ask for your support in this scale. As we discussed at the executive session, our goal with these wage scale adjustments is to retain our staff, our firefighters, and we want to remain competitive and fair and data-driven. So as we've stated with other bargaining units and other negotiations that are ongoing, we also want to honor our employees, we want to take care of them, and we want to be good stewards of our tax dollars. We did do some research of other communities with their firefighters and believe that this scale is competitive and fair and meets the aforementioned criteria. So the pay scale impacts about 151 employees, some of whom are represented here today. The negotiation process went very well. It was a collaborative process, and the firefighters union understands the realities of our future budget. They understand that we have to be good stewards of tax dollars, and they also acknowledge that this pay is part of the total compensation package. They realize that they have great benefits that also contribute to that full picture. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Daniel, and he'll share the numbers, and I'll stand by for any questions that you might have.
Thank you. Strangely?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. What's being proposed is the start in January of 2025 that the city would provide a 50-cent match for every $1 that the member invests in their South Dakota Supplemental Retirement Account, up to a total city match of $500. So in order for the firefighter to receive that $500, they themselves would need to invest $1,000 into their supplemental retirement plan. In addition to that, there would be a 2% increase every 6 months. So there would not be step increases. Instead, this is more of a cost of living allowance where people end up staying at the steps where they currently are placed. That is being done, number one, to be more fair for several of our more senior firefighters who may not necessarily receive the increase that would be required or necessary for them to stay competitive, because the current step system changes as you become more senior. But also, it's just a reality that as Interim Director Braun brought up, we do need to ensure that we are being very sensitive to the taxpayers, and frankly, in order to award cost of living allowances as well as steps, there just is insufficient funding at this point to do that. So in 2025, the total proposal is an increase to the general fund of $395,000, to the ambulance fund of $69,000. Then in 2026, it's another increase of $459,000 in the general fund and $81,000 to the ambulance fund. So it is a sizable investment, but with that being said, it's a vital service that is provided to the taxpayers, and the staff does recommend that you approve the amendment, and the union has also already voted to approve the amendment.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee? Just one question, Daniel. The first page says that it's effective January 1, 2023. Is that correct, or is it retroactive to 2023, or is it?
It would not be retroactive. These increases, the first increase would occur in January of 2025. Yes, 2025, and then July 2025, then January of 26, and July of 26. Not sure on the making it retroactive. That's probably because that's when the original agreement was effectuated.
So if you're looking at the bottom of page 3 on the amendment, that July 2024, the pay matrix will be adjusted, and that's due to the previous negotiation.
The existing matrix, according to the existing contract, there is a cost of living allowance that is 3%. I believe that goes into effect July 1. So that was part of what's already been budgeted for this year. So what you're looking at and what's being proposed are changes that would occur for 2025 and 2026. Sorry if that causes any confusion.
So should this be called an amendment to the agreement by and between the IAFF and city effective January 1, 2023?
That is what it's stated as an amendment to the agreement.
Okay, I was just looking at the title. I didn't see where. On the title page of what we have, it just says, it doesn't say it's an amendment. There's some handwriting.
This would be the third amendment to the agreement, to the...
To amendings. Okay. Okay. Yeah, on the agenda, I see that. Okay. Any other questions? Motion by Bieberdorf, second by Evans to approve item number 9. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Let's do the honors. Motion to adjourn by Evans, second by Bieberdorf. All in favor? Motion carries. We're adjourned.
Yes, you run a very nice, efficient, concise meeting.
I can't do it in 50 seconds.